Hey y'all. This was kind of last minute. I decided to go live instead of trying to record and upload because if y'all have been paying attention at all, um, my Wi-Fi issues are ridiculous, and so when it takes 4 hours to upload something, I just don't even want to mess with it. So I think lately I'm gonna be, or from now on, I'm gonna be going live whenever I do my vlogs because it just tends to be easier to upload and you guys can get your hands on it faster and at your convenience. Today, on this Tuesday, we're talking about tots and teens, and today's topic I wanted to address social media with our kids. Most of us, I'm 36, and that's really about when I think my first cell phone was it was after I graduated high school. I graduated in 2000, and it was the old Nokia, brick phone. But social media didn't really come on the scene until I would say, I had already been married and I think I had 3 kids. So maybe when I was 23, 24. I know some of you are younger on here, so maybe in your later, your teen years, you were brought up with social media. And then some of you are older than me, and social media was like never even an issue early in your marriage. Hey, sissy. And so, if you can't get on here live, that's totally fine. It's going to be on there whenever you can, get your hands on it. But you guys, social media is a big deal, and our kids are faced with things that you and I never had to deal with when we were growing up. I just told my daughter the other day that I am so thankful social media was not around when I was a teenager, because we'll save this for another day because it'll take a whole lesson, but I was a really bad teenager. I was not godly. I did not act in the ways that God would have me act. And so if there had been social media back then, there would literally be a record of it today. Now, I don't hide anything from my kids. I'm very blunt and open with my kids. They know, where I've been, things I've done, and things like that. But it's different if they were actually going to be able to Google my name and pull up, selfies that I might have posted, or, fights that I might have had over social media and things like that. Because y'all, when our kids are posting stuff, it is there forever. I don't care. My kids don't have a Snapchat. They're not allowed to have a Snapchat. For this one main reason is because there's no way for me as a parent to monitor it, because it erases after 10 seconds or whatever the rules are. I don't even have a Snapchat. But that was one of the main reasons, because Snapchat kind of came on the scene when my daughter got her first cell phone, and she was introduced to social media as far as Instagram and things like that. And so I wanted to be able to regulate that. I wanted to be able to monitor it, and there's no way to monitor something that you can't go back and look at, at all. Your kids have passwords and usernames and all that to, if they want to keep you out of their social media accounts, but at least it's still there. If you get their, their password and their usernames, you can go back and check on those, those DMs or those those private messaging conversations. Or text messages. You can go back and look at their phone on their text messages. My son's cell phone is connected to my iPad, so every text message that he sends out and every text message that he gets, it's on my iPad. So parents, we've got to be smart about this, because social media is a whole nother world for our children that most parents, even if we have our own social media, we are not a part of our children's world in the social media world. We're not. Some parents are more in tune with this. I am very in tune with it, but I'm not even doing as good a job as I should because I get busy, which is a lame excuse. But it is a whole nother world that is very, very serious, and it is literally molding and shaping the hearts and minds of our children. And us parents, mothers in particular on this feed, are completely oblivious to it. Not that you're not friends with your child on Instagram or on Facebook, and so you can see what they post and things like that. But do you know how many kids have fake accounts? So you might think as a mom that you're following your child on whatever social media, but do you know that so many children, and I'm not saying your kids have this, but I'm saying I know for a fact that these kids have incognito accounts to where their parents don't know about them, so they're able to be a completely different person on these incognito accounts. That is super serious. They're being sneaky teenagers, like a lot of teenagers are, But it's a lot harder for parents to catch their sneaky teenagers now than it was back in my day when all you had to do was stay up a couple hours later to make sure your kid ain't sneaking out or sneaking in. Okay? So we have got to be on top of this, mamas. We have to. And the reason is because if we're wanting to get our kids to heaven, if we're wanting to help guide our children to heaven, we have to know as much as possible the obstacles that are in their way. They might not see them. In fact, they don't. They don't see them as obstacles. They see them as friends. They see them as fun. They see them as exciting or, adrenaline rush or, I'm just getting back at someone that was talking trash about me. That's how they see it because their minds are not even fully developed yet, literally. So we as mamas have got to wrap our minds around this. Ladies, there is nothing wrong with you taking your child's cell phone or tablet or checking their computer history or whatever and checking their search history, asking, not because they're in trouble, but because you're a mother and it's your job to protect your children. How are you going to protect them if you have no clue what they're coming in contact with on social media? Snapchat, I'm back to Snapchat. And if I'm stepping on toes, I'm sorry, but how are you going to monitor your child's Snapchat when it just erases after 10 seconds? Like, that's a big deal. Mamas, we got to do better. I have to do better because I'm very aware of this problem and I'm not even on top of it as much as I know I should be. And again, it's because you get busy. Life takes over. You're tired. You don't feel like, dealing with the mental stress. You don't feel like having your teenage daughter or your teenage son mad at you because you wanted to check their phone. You don't feel like having the fight. I get it. But if we're looking at the big picture and we're looking at long term, we're looking at eternity for our children, it makes you realize, okay, this one little fight that we might have right now because she or he is mad at me because I want to check their phone is totally worth helping them get to heaven. It is totally worth it. So, ladies, social media is huge. I highly challenge you, and you don't have to tell anybody about it. This is going to be a private setting within your family unit. It does not have to be blasted on social media what you found on your kid's cell phone or, even necessarily asking publicly, okay, I found this on my daughter or my son's cell phone. Like, how do I do that? Go to someone privately or, definitely go to your husband. And mamas, I'm going to tell you right now, this is a temptation that I have too. We're natural private investigators. Okay. It's totally a gift that God gave us, but we have got to communicate with our husbands. Do not hide stuff from the spiritual leader of your family. Do not hide stuff from the head of your family. You cannot do that. You can't afford to do that. Satan wants us to realize, okay, well, daddy doesn't really need to know about this. He might just get a little too mad. So let's just kind of keep this between us and I'm going to handle it with my daughter or my son. And I can make sure that it'll go away. Do not allow Satan to lie to you. When you married your husband, you became one. And that should be oneness together, oneness as a united front to your children. It could be something bad. It could be something really devastating and detrimental to your children's hearts and minds that is going on, that they themselves are stuck in and they can't get out. That is not your job alone to take care of. You let your husband know so that you guys let him be mad. He should be mad. But allow him that time to calm down, to get his thoughts about him, and make sure you as the wife, as the helpmeet, when in talking to him is like, okay, how are we going to help our child get out of this? This is something that we didn't have to deal with when we were kids. If we don't even know how to help them, how are they going to help themselves? And help your husband wrap his mind back around to how he can now protect his family. But don't hide it from your husband. Check on your kids. You have got to know what's going on your kids' social media. And it can be anything from, we hear about, posting nude pics and looking at pornography and stuff like that, but it can be something not even that drastic. It can be something as and I hate to say small, but to where you're seeing bullying going on. Is your child being bullied? And they don't want to come to you about it because they don't want to be a snitch. Or is your child engaging in doing the bullying against another child? I don't care if the other child is a drug addict or a girl that's a hoe or sleeping around. That does not give your child or my child the right to talk trash about her and to bully her. Or is your child just sitting in the chat group that is doing the bullying? They might not be saying anything, but they're sitting there watching it. That is a type of heart that our children have if that's what they're doing. And we as mamas need to make sure that we correct that. So it doesn't have to be, sending nude pictures or, looking at pornography or anything like that. And another thing, our children don't have to be addicted to pornography to accidentally come across it. Their mind doesn't have to be planned on finding a naked picture or a naked girl. They could just go into a search bar and accidentally type in the wrong thing. And mamas, I know there's a lot of women out there, and this is up for debate, and that's fine. You don't have to agree with me on this. But there's a lot of mamas or families out there that are like, you know what, because it is so easy to accidentally access something, my kids they're just not going to have cell phones. They're not going to have social media. They're not going to, and that's fine. And definitely when they're younger, I completely agree with that. But we have to come to grips and terms with, and I don't mean follow society and everything it does, but I mean even in the workplace. I mean, social media is just an integrated part of our society. And so even when our kids are no longer under our roof, I would not put it past them that if you raise your kids to completely stay away from social media, to completely stay away from tablets and cell phones and internet and all that, when they're grown and out of your house, I can almost guarantee you they're going to come across it. They're going to get it. So do you want them learning how to handle that and deal with those struggles when they're outside of your house and they don't have you to turn to for help? Or do you want them to go try to do it while they're under your roof and you can help them maneuver through some of those things? Because it's just a part of our life. It just is. But I definitely do not disagree with keeping smaller, younger children away from it. But, in our house, it's the teenage years. I've got Sky who's 17. She'll be 18 in less than a year. I've got Jaden who's 14. He's only got, this boy will probably move out when he's 17. He's so ready to be independent, and that's totally fine. We've raised him to be like that. And then I have Bryson who's 12. But we're going to have adults on our hands pretty soon. And so you better believe that I want to make sure that we're able to help them maneuver through this part of life that's going to be a part of their life for the rest of their life. I don't want them trying to figure that out on their own. So that is a matter of opinion as far as when and if you want to give your kids cell phones and access and stuff like that to social media. But I definitely believe that younger children should not have it. And it's not just, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. There's Musical.ly. It's an app, where they do lip singing and stuff like that. But there's private chat rooms in Musical.ly. There's, you're able to comment on there. So the same type of bullying stuff can happen even when you're just lip singing a song. Not to mention the song choice that they give them to lip sync, which we just allowed Bryson to have a Musical.ly so that he could, have some communication with his friends. But even the song choices that he's doing that he thinks are fine, because in his innocent mind, he doesn't realize the innuendos that the songs are making. So we've had to tell him when he's coming, he's bringing it to me, showing me, hey, Mom, look at my Musical.ly. So in his mind, I know it's innocent. He's showing me the song that he's doing, lip singing or whatever too. And I have to tell him, you have to delete that, baby, because that is talking about something that is completely inappropriate. And he had no clue. So even in that, we have to monitor, even when our kids are not trying to be sneaky and they're not trying to go behind your back and do stuff, we have to help guide them through that. And if we're not aware of what's going on with our kids' social media, then who's guiding them? Social media? God forbid that's who's guiding them. Sorry, I'm going to read some of these. Exactly, Haley. So I have my son Jaden here, who's 14, and I just wanted to get his take, because I'm a mama. Obviously, if you're a mama or you're going to be a mama someday, if you're watching this. And I, last Tots and Teens Tuesday, I had Sky on and got her perspective of things. Well, Jaden is brand new to social media. He turned 14 in September. We got him his first cell phone, 14 years old, and we just in September, and we just what was it? How long? It's been 2 months, maybe? We let him get Instagram. And I'm going to tell you, we included our daughter on that decision. My husband and I did. Because she's 17. She's had an Instagram for a couple years. And we asked her because he wanted one because he wanted to be able to communicate with his friends, you know. And so it's a part of the kid's world. It just is. And so we asked her about it. You know, do you think Jaden's ready for an Instagram? And the first thing she said is, Mom, I think it's okay. Just tell him to stay away from the search. Which is, you know, if you have an Instagram, you can go to the little search. Because you hit that little, what is it? Magnifying glass on Instagram and all types. I mean, immediately, you don't even type in anything yet. Everything pops up. And that terrifies me for my son. But at the same time, my son is going to come across a search engine at any given moment in his life. So I can't just protect him from the search, you know, for the rest of his life. But we have to make him aware of those things, that this is what you're going to be faced with. I know you're asking for this because you want to be able to communicate with your friends. You want to post about your life and things like that. It's a part of all of us. If you're on Facebook, you have social media. It's a part of our everyday life now, y'all. He wants that too, which in and of itself, it's not bad. But he has to realize, and your children have to realize, the dangers and the temptations and the trials and the drama that can come with it if you don't protect yourself or prepare yourself. So I wanted to ask Jaden some questions so that you guys could hear straight from him about his take, you know, from a 14-year-old teenage boy, from his take on social media, because for 14 years he didn't have any social media. And then he's now new to it, about 2 months in, with having a cell phone and having social media. So, son, do you mind if I show you, or you don't want me to show you? Okay, y'all, I'm going to show him. He's on the shyest guy, so I'm going to turn the camera around. Oh. Well, no, you can sit right there. I turned the... Okay. He's just going to come sit by me. Yes, April, lots of drama. Okay, well, just sit down. Man, you're that tall and you're on your knees. Okay. So, Jaden, I wanted to ask you, have you noticed any changes in yourself from not having any social media to then and a cell phone. Let's include cell phone access and being able to surf the web and get on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. From like 14 years of your life not having that to now you have access to all of that stuff. Have you noticed a difference in yourself?
I've been more stressed lately because there's a lot of drama.
Okay, you have to talk loud and make sure it's clear.
I've been more stressed lately. Because girls are full of drama, and there's a lot of girls here, so, yeah.
What are some, is there positive changes that you've noticed since you've had social?
I've become closer with some friends because I communicate more with them.
Okay. Have you noticed things that might be, whether you want to say temptations or just things that are tugging at you that, spiritually speaking, do you find I guess it's temptations or the idea of possibly doing something that you shouldn't do, or that God wouldn't be happy with, or your parents wouldn't be happy with? Do you feel that tug at all?
A lot more, probably, yeah, because I... First on Instagram, because like she said, you press the search thing, and I usually look at basketball stuff. I follow a lot of basketball people. You have to scroll down some, and there's mostly like, would you say like pornography or nudity?
Well, it's nudity. If you want to call it soft porn or nudity. Yeah. You're talking about like girls in bikinis and stuff.
There's more there's more inappropriate stuff than basketball stuff. So. That's one of the... Yeah. So what advice do you have for maybe parents to be able to instill in their children to help their children to deal with this kind of stuff? Like, what is some advice coming from your perspective? What are some things that can help you, has helped you? I used to think not getting a phone or anything was stupid. I would have been asking for a phone since I was like 10. But now that she's actually, like she said one day, you understand, but I was like, I'm never going to understand why you just tortured me this long. But now that she's given me a phone and I've been exposed to everything on Instagram or Musically or anything, I would say it's a 14. Well, it really depends on how mature your child is, not the age of your child. So I'm 14. She thinks I'm mature. I think I'm more mature than a regular 14-year-old. So that's a good age for you to put your child down from, like, let him down from you carrying him their whole life. Like,
oh, you mean like from parents trying to protect them from everything?
Give them a little slack.
Okay. So would you say, and not just here where you live, but just out of all the 14-year-old boys or / girls that you know, would you say that every 14-year-old is mature enough to handle social media?
No, not even close.
What would you say are some key factors that a parent can look for in the maturity of their child to be able to handle a cell phone or to be able to handle the pressures or the stress, as you said, that comes with social media? Y'all, sorry, while you think for a minute. I did not tell him ahead of time what these questions were going to be because I didn't even know him. We're both kind of, off the cuff type of people. Let me read this. Are you thinking about my question while I read this?
Hang on, repeat it again. I forgot.
Oh, I said, what are some key factors that you think parents should look for in their kid, whether they're 14 or whatever age, that tells them they are mature enough to handle, as you said, the stresses that come with social media or the temptations? Yeah, Kristen, and that's how Jaden felt for most of his life, is that all his friends had it, So coming from a kid, when they're looking at all their peers, they're thinking, yeah, if all my peers have it and then all their parents think it's fine, why is my mom so crazy? Do you have?
Yeah, I had it and I forgot.
Oh, what key factors to look for?
Oh yeah, definitely have a talk with your child before you just like, hey, here's a phone, here's Instagram or something. Like, get what their mindset is. Like, how would you handle this situation if this certain thing popped up, and then listen to their answer? You should be able to tell if they're mature enough to have more use.
That's a good idea. Trying to think. Do y'all have any questions? All I know is social media is a big one, y'all. It really is. And when Jaden talked about how, he finds that he's more stressed now, I think that comes from not even necessarily all negative stuff on social media, but even as adults, we can see now that our life before social media came and now our life with social media, it is a lot more being thrown at our brain at very rapid rates, like rapid fire. And so for a kid who is trying to, still grow and mature and do schoolwork and, growing on his spirituality and, all of those kinds of things, all the emotions and the hormones that come along with, growing up physically, when you have all that rapid fire, we can understand where some of that stress comes from. And so us parents have to be aware of that, the moodiness that might come in form of attitude, which attitude is never okay, but you do want to kind of get to the root cause of it. And maybe stress is one of them. I know for me, you see adults all the time on social media say, I just need to take a Facebook break. I'm going to take, a month off or whatever. Why are they doing that? It's because they're stressed. They're stressed over the rapid fire that's constantly, whether it's political, whether it's racial, whether it's, financial, just whatever. Everything that's coming at us constantly, even as adults, can get stressful. So our kids are no different. They're humans just like we are. So that's something also that we have to be aware of. And April brought up a really good point about code words. That is so true. And not only code words, but even, initials for just regular sayings, like parents, mamas, we got some work to do. We got some homework to do. Anytime I come across something that I don't understand on social media, I ask Sky or Jaden, like, what does that mean? And they'll tell me. My daughter, and I haven't even asked Jaden about this, and I don't know if he knows, but I know for a fact she has friends that have incognito accounts of kids that I know. Like, mamas, we got to do better. And if any of y'all ever found out that my kids had an incognito account, I hope that you are banging my door down, because I am not that mom that's going to be like, my kid would never do that. my kid, I mean, you ask my kids. If I hear something about my kids, I'm accusing them usually before I even get the whole story. If they're coming at me telling me that somebody mistreated them, or whether it's an adult or another kid, I'm trying to dig in the story and find out, okay, what did you do? What did you do first that caused this person to react in this way? That's just how I parent. Because I don't ever want to be blindsided by the thought that my children would never do any wrong, and then come day of judgment, because I was so prideful to think my kids would never do anything wrong, God's like, yeah, your kid was all over the place. Sorry. I mean, that is not what I want to find out at all. I want to be in heaven, and I want my kids to be in heaven with me. And the only way that's going to happen is for us to face our own trials and struggles and try to do it God's way, and to help our kids do the same thing. Well, if we think they do no wrong, which is crazy to begin with, because, you know, everyone has sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Everybody has issues. Everybody has temptations. Nobody's perfect. So, of course, our kids are going to do wrong sometimes. Of course, they're going to maybe not do huge things, and maybe they do what we consider huge things. But even if they're like that great kid that is just obedient and respectful and, you know, never is in trouble, we still have to look at the heart. What is the inward things that they're dealing with? You know, how do they deal with forgiveness? How do they deal with bitterness or hurt? Are they harboring it, or do they have a forgiving heart? So there's always room for improvement in every single human being. You are not a victim, and I know teenagers can be jerks too. Yes, that is true. And I talked about that earlier, Clarissa, about the bullying. Some kids, it's just a fact, and it's not better or worse, but some kids, teens, and even adults, are just stronger emotionally than others. Not everybody is going to have all the same talents, okay? I'm very emotionally strong. I am. I'm mentally strong, and I'm emotionally strong. My daughter is one of the most compassionate, caring people that I know. But it really bothers her when someone is upset with her. Okay? That's not a weakness. That is a gift that she has that I don't, because that is what helps her be so compassionate. I need to strive to be more compassionate. So instead of my first thought naturally being like, I don't care if they're upset with me. What I did was right. That's my natural reaction. But the compassionate heart would say, even though what I said was right, could I have said it a different way? Could I have said it in a different tone? Could I have waited for a better opportunity? Did I have to call that person out right then and there? Okay, so you see the difference? Like, there's gonna be kids that are more emotionally, mentally strong, especially when you're dealing with social media and the stuff that's coming at them. Now, don't get me wrong, my daughter is strong, but I'm just saying it does affect her more in her heart when people are upset with her than it does me, and probably than it does Jaden, because he's a lot like me in that way. But we have to be able to prepare our kids for that. So if we're going to hand them a phone, or we're going to hand them a tablet, or we're going to hand them access to social media, you can't just hand them that without, like, as Jaden said, preparing them, asking them a few questions. What would you do if this situation arose? Because us as adults know it's going to arise. Like, we know it's going to happen. And so I just really, really kind of wanted you to get his take on it from his perspective as a 14-year-old teenager, and then from the mama perspective, and just some of the things that I've noticed within my own kids' social media life, world, whatever, and what I see, you know, other kids' social media activities going on. But mamas, we have to pay attention. We have to. It's not an option. If you love your kids, you're going to pay attention. If you love your kids, you're going to ask them to see their cell phone. And I'm sorry, you can disagree with me, but this whole, I just trust mine, mistake number one. Teenagers' brains, literally, their brains are not even fully developed, and they're going through rapid growth in these teenage years. Their reasoning is not even, when the whole stereotype about how teenagers are just like crazy and blah, blah, blah. That's real. Not that they're crazy, but it's real that their brains and their bodies are going through so many changes, physiological changes in those years. How are you going to give that type of responsibility and just be like, I trust them, they won't do it? When you have fully grown adults who can't even handle that kind of responsibility on social media or pornography and things like that. So do not for one thing, say, oh, I just trust my kid, I don't have to check on him. I'm sorry, but you're just going to set him up for failure if that's what you're doing. And it doesn't mean you have a bad kid because you want to check on him. You telling your child, that's like saying to a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, who's now walking, I don't need to tell him to not go in the street because they wouldn't go in the street. They don't know the dangers that are in the street. Your teenagers don't know the dangers that can come from social media or just from life in general, but especially from social media and all the stuff that goes on there. They don't understand the dangers and how it can affect them if we don't tell them, if we don't prepare them, if we don't have those discussions with them. So it's no different. So just because you want to check on your child because you love them does not mean that you don't trust them. It means you don't trust the world, and it means you don't trust Satan. That's what it means. And that you know that your child needs help just like we as adults need help. Not necessarily in the social media realm, but just in life. So I really wanted to hit on this. I'm sorry it went live and I didn't have I'm going to somehow try to figure out how to get this in video form so that I can post it to my YouTube account. But if I can't, whatever. So just watch it whenever you can. I hope this helped. I hope this, if you didn't already know, that it made you more aware. And if you already knew, like me, that it just gave you a really good reminder and a kick in the rear, because I need it too. I need it. But I love you guys, and I hope you have a great Tuesday. I hope that we will love and cherish and protect and guide and guard our tots and teens, because the ultimate goal is to help them get to heaven. So I love y'all. Have a great day, and I'll talk to y'all later, Lord willing. Bye.